we are back talking about fix and flip loans today. So, are we going to take the property on the left right here and make it into a property to the right, sell one house, retire rich, happy, and then right up to the stars? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? So let's talk about what a fix and flip loan. What is a fix and flip loan? Well, they're typically short-term loans. They're also called, bridge loans. Hey, this is just a loan to bridge you to point A to point B. Designed for investors who buy properties, renovate properties, and turn around and sell them for a profit. So these loans are typically used to purchase the home, finance the renovation costs, and any sort of expenses that come with it, be past liens, or liens on the property, soft costs, something like architectural design, property taxes, homeowners insurance, kind of all of that. Depending on the lender, every lender is a little different in this space because it's typically their own money and they want to take their own risks. But typically, you're able to finance those costs. What are some key features? What makes these a little bit different than your traditional, hey, I'm going to go to the bank, get a loan for an investment property and call it good? Well, these are meant to be short-term loans, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months if you're starting something for, ground up construction, right? And they're used to get this property back to good shape in the market and sold. For that, there's a little bit of a higher risk, right? So higher the risk, higher the interest rate. You will see anywhere between, I said 9 right there. 9's pretty tight right now. I don't know if you're going to be finding it, but if you have a really great relationship with the lender already, it's out there. But I've seen anywhere between 10 and probably 13, 14% interest. On top of that, most of these loans do carry points or percentages of, they'll do the loan, but they're going to charge you 1 to 2 points. That's 1 to 2% of the loan amount. So something to think about. These loans aren't necessarily the cheapest route, but going back to the bottom one, they can fund very fast. So if you're working with a wholesaler or, if you find a property that's being sold, tax lien, and you need this money really quick, typically 5 to 10 business days, we can get that taken care of using a fix and flip loan. So do you qualify? Oopsies, I do this all the time. Do you qualify? The answer is it doesn't matter. When you have gotten your typical mortgage before in the past, you're asked for documents like your employment, your HR contact number to make sure you're employed, tax returns, pay stubs, that kind of stuff. Those aren't required. Lenders in the private space doing fix and flip loans don't care if you're employed or not employed. Most investors this is what they do for a living. They just find homes and fix them up and sell them. The major important items needed is a decent FICO score, typically 660 and above. That's not saying that, if you have something less than that, you're out of the market, you're out of it. You're not, but don't expect a low interest rate. Bank statements typically required. We need to know where's the money coming from for this down payment. Also, if you had to hold this property for 7 or 8 months, 2 months, whatever it is, where are you going to be coming in with that monthly payment? And typically the house is used to qualify for the loan. Now, what does that mean? The house qualifies for the loan. I don't. So the way it works is investors will typically find a house, for sale, a distressed home, and they'll purchase it for under market value. So they'll work with wholesalers. They'll work with, they'll call and, properties that might be needing to be repaired and just seeing if they can buy it for under market value and whatnot. The investor typically has a really good knowledge of the area that they're working in. So you don't see a lot of, and this is outliers, but you don't see a lot of people living in Oregon and doing all of their flips in Maine, unless they know the area very well, but it's very difficult to do that. So typically the investor will live in the state, in the city, and then they'll find homes in that city, and they know that once this home is fixed up, they can sell it for a higher amount than what they're going to be buying it for. And what they do is investor will bring in a purchase price, give us a scope of work to say, hey, this property is going to be X amount to repair, but once it's repaired, it's going to be worth this much. And we submit all that to the underwriter, who really reviews experience. Does the investor have a good track record with their past flips? What is the after repair value? Typically, we will order an appraisal. It's good for the lender, and it's also good for the investor, just knowing that, hey, if we do everything that we said on the scope of work, will the house be worth this much? And the answer is either yay or nay. And from there, the underwriter will determine if this is a viable deal. So kind of putting it all together here. Got a scenario one. These are a couple scenarios that I've actually ran into. So scenario one, house is listed for $95,000. The market value is $95,000. So maybe we're purchasing this on MLS or whatnot. Work repair needed is about $30,000. But once we get that done, we're looking at the after repair value of $180,000. So looking at it, you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, this house is worth at $125. Once I'm all in, I can sell it for $180. Doing the math, like I'm going to make $55,000. This is sweet. I'm going to be rich, right? And that's a lot of times how it's portrayed, but it's really, there's the costs that are not included, that you're not thinking about potentially, that get you. So we'll look at, first of all, lenders, we're going to look at loan to cost. Loan to cost is calculated as the total loan amount divided by the purchase price plus the rehab. So this is off a little bit, but 120. So in this scenario, borrower's putting 10% down. 10%, even if they're financing the repairs, we're only going to take 10% of the house listed, or of the listed price. So it turns 120 divided by 130, which is the purchase price plus the rehab, gives us a 92% loan to cost. So I don't want to jump ahead of myself. So after repair value, most lenders want 65 to 75%, depending on the experience. So max, and what is after repair value? Kind of how do we look at it? It's the max loan amount plus the rehab divided by the after repair value. So max loan amount divided by 180, which is the after repair value, gives us 66.94. So in this scenario, this might be a green light, but this is a red light. To counteract that, underwriter might ask, hey, let's bring the loan amount down so that this qualifies and stays in that range of 90%. So this could be a viable deal, but there might be some work that might need to happen. Maybe less, the work needed, the rehab budget maybe needs to go down. Maybe borrower or the investor comes in, puts a little bit more money in, that kind of stuff. Scenario number 2 here is we have a house listed for $70,000. The market value is $95,000, so we're coming in a little bit better anyway. The work needed is $35,000, and the after repair is $170. So here's what I'm looking at. Going back to our numbers here, our loan amount is $94,500. Our purchase price plus rehab is $105, gives us a 90% loan to cost. Now, once again, every lender is going to look at this a little bit differently, but this is kind of just generally speaking. So this is green light right here. And then the after repair value, 94.5 divided by 170 equals 55.58. This is green light all day long. So this would be a property where borrower has FICO score and bank statements. This is a fundable loan, very fundable. So something to think about when you're looking at these properties. Don't just look at 105 from 170. I'm going to be making this much money. there will be some costs involved that will deplete some of that. And that's why we have such high, 65 to 75%, 80 to 90, because we need to make sure to help the investor that it's a good deal. So what people think this is, people think it's easy money, it's huge profit, and it's like HGTV or Bravo when you hear like, hey, we bought this house on auction for $30,000 and we put $10,000 into it, now it's worth $450,000. It doesn't really work like that. There are home runs, but one thing to consider is it's a lot of work. You're going to that house. If you're the general contractor, you are going to be hiring all the electrical, the plumbing, the carpet people, the windows, you name it, whatever you're fixing, you're hiring that out. That takes work and time. If you're doing a lot of the work yourself, just think about how long you take to work to fix up X, Y, or Z, and then time that by X amount of months. There can be huge profits in this sector, but something that an investor told me, and it just really has resonated, is, singles turn into grand slams. Singles turn into runs. We don't need to be swinging for the fence every single time. Just really get on base. Get on base is kind of like the Moneyball approach, but little singles turns into you amassing more and more money to maybe, instead of buying the $70,000, $80,000 homes, $120,000 homes, at $300,000 homes, you can kind of step up if you want to. And just like everything, on HGTV, I kind of already alluded to it, everything's exaggerated to keep people watching. So if you think it's as easy as, hey, I bought this house at auction and man, there's going to be X amount of profit in it. There's a lot of things you need to consider, like holding costs, which are every month that you have this house, you're going to have that mortgage payment. That's holding cost. To purchase this house, you're going to have title escrow fees, you're going to have underwriting fee, and you're going to have potentially origination charges. And that could be 1% to 2% of the loan amount. So just getting into a house sometimes might be $7,000 or $8,000 plus, let's say it's $2,000 a month. You hold it for 5 months. That's $10,000 plus maybe the $10,000 it costs to get the property. You're $20,000. Well, you thought you were going to make 40, 50, 60,000 on it, and you're only making 5 to 10,000 for all that risk. Might not be worth it. But that is really quickly a Friday update on a fix and flip loan, what they are, what they're used for, and what lenders look at when working on properties like that. If you have any questions, I work with investors all day long. Let me know. Give me a call. My information is right there, and look forward to seeing you next Friday.